Stop scrolling if you own a snake plant. Because what I'm about to show you happened to less than 1% of gardeners on this entire planet. And once you know why, you'll never look at your plant the same way again. Welcome back to Daily Sprout Gardeners. Picture this. You walk past your snake plant one ordinary morning, the same tough, impossible-to-kill plant you've had for years, and there it is. A tall stalk shooting straight up from the center, crowned with delicate white flowers, spilling a sweet fragrance into the night air. Your first thought? Wait, is this even normal? Because here's the truth almost nobody tells you. Snake plants almost never bloom. Some people own one for 15, 20 years and never see a single flower in its entire life. So when it finally happens, the real question isn't just why. It's what does it mean? Today, I'm cracking this mystery wide open. And here's the twist that's going to stun you. The spiritual explanation and the scientific one arrive at the exact same answer from two completely different directions. Before we go further, hit like and subscribe, because what's coming next is going to change how you see every plant in your home. First, some quick context. The snake plant, also called Sansevieria or mother-in-law's tongue, is one of the most popular houseplants on Earth. Offices, bathrooms, kitchens, living rooms, it's everywhere because it survives almost anything. Low light, forgotten watering schedules, wild temperature swings, it just doesn't care. It's the ultimate plant for people who swear they have a black thumb. But here's the fascinating part. For all that toughness, blooming is an extraordinarily rare event. Some owners wait 20 years and see nothing. Others own one for 3 short years, and suddenly that slender stalk appears, dressed in cream-white flowers releasing their sweetest scent after dark. That single event has fascinated gardeners, spiritual practitioners, and scientists for generations. What triggers it? Coincidence or something deeper? I'll tell you now. Both explanations, spiritual and scientific, land on the exact same conclusion. But to get there, we start with what wisdom traditions have said for centuries. Across America, Africa, and Asia, the snake plant has always been considered far more than decoration. In many American households, especially across the South, it's been placed behind entrance doors as an invisible shield against envy and bad intentions. Those upright leaves were seen as swords of protection, slicing through negative energy before it could settle inside the home. And there's real reasoning behind it. Those sharp, pointed leaves create what feng shui practitioners call cutting energy, dispersing heavy energy before it enters your living space. Others place it in the bedroom to restore peace between couples. An old Southern belief claims that harmony returns within 3 full moon cycles. Skeptical of moon cycles? Consider this. The plant releases oxygen at night, improving air quality while you sleep, which improves rest, which reduces irritability and conflict. Science and folklore, describing the exact same outcome from 2 different languages. But when this plant blooms, the meaning shifts entirely. In West African tradition, where Sansevieria originates, blooming is considered a direct announcement of prosperity and protection. Not random, not an accident. The plant is responding to the energy of your home. If it bloomed, the environment reached a level of harmony so complete that the plant recognized it and celebrated. In West African villages, a blooming snake plant wasn't just noticed, it was announced. Neighbors were told. Dates were marked. Sometimes families gathered just to watch the flowers open at night, because it meant the household had achieved something rare. Protection, not just physical, but spiritual. Approval from the ancestors. This wasn't superstition. It was communal recognition of harmony. Here in the American South, especially within African American communities carrying these traditions forward, a blooming snake plant signals a financial blessing on its way. A thriving business. A cleared debt. An opportunity knocking. I spoke with elderly plant keepers across Georgia and Louisiana, people who'd kept snake plants for decades, and they all said the same thing. Every single time they witnessed a bloom, something financially positive followed within 3 to 6 months. A promotion, an inheritance, a deal closing. This wasn't belief anymore. It was documented family history. One woman in New Orleans told me her grandmother's plant bloomed in 1985, and 4 months later, her grandfather, unemployed for a year, landed the job that supported the family for the next 2 decades. Her grandmother always said the plant knew before they did. Correlation or causation. The pattern was real enough to be remembered and passed down for generations. Elders across Georgia, Louisiana, and the Carolinas will tell you the flower confirms fortune already present, not fortune still arriving. Like a smoke detector, except instead of sensing danger, it senses prosperity already in motion. Native American traditions echo this. Southwestern tribes who welcomed this plant after its arrival in the late 1800s noticed it bloomed in homes marked by stability and intentional care. The Hopi and Pueblo peoples called it the plant of standing energy, its vertical growth symbolizing integrity and strength. A Hopi elder once told me, "The plant stands like a warrior, always upright, always watching. And when the warrior's work is done, when the village is safe, that's when he celebrates." The flower is that celebration, proof the protection is complete. And here's a detail that still gives me chills. West African tradition holds that the snake plant carries a guardian spirit. When it blooms, that spirit is awake, active, protecting the family. Not passive decoration, an energetic ally working on your behalf. Now, if that captured your attention, wait until you hear what feng shui reveals, because this is where it gets even more compelling. If you're enjoying this, send it to someone with a snake plant at home. Trust me, they'll never see it the same way again. In feng shui, hugely influential in American interior design today, the snake plant is considered a vessel of rising yang energy. Its upward-pointing leaves generate a positive current that activates the space around it, which is why practitioners recommend it for stagnant corners, entrances, and heavy, stuck areas. But when it blooms, feng shui interprets this as extraordinary. The bloom doesn't mean good fortune is coming. It means good fortune has already arrived. It confirms that accumulated negative energy has cleared, and the space has reached balance. Location matters too. Bloom near the entrance, and protection is strong with prosperity flowing in freely. Bloom in the living room, and family harmony has peaked. Bloom in the bedroom, and it signals emotional balance for whoever sleeps there. Here's what's remarkable. Feng shui doesn't contradict science here. It complements it perfectly, because the exact conditions that trigger blooming scientifically are the same conditions feng shui calls harmonious. And that's exactly where we're headed next. But first, if this is opening your eyes, hit that like button right now. It tells the platform this content matters, and it lets me keep digging into topics like this for you. Now for the science, and I promise, once you hear this, everything clicks into place. Sansevieria trifasciata blooms under very specific conditions. First, maturity. Not a plant that's 1 or 2 years old. We're talking 3 to 10 years of development, depending on its environment. But maturity alone isn't enough. Researchers, including teams at the University of Florida and Texas A&M, point to something called mild environmental stress. And this is the key to the entire mystery. That stress isn't negative. It's a signal, a biological trigger telling the plant conditions are right to reproduce. Slightly reduced watering mimicking a dry season. Roots growing snug in their pot, signaling maximized resources. Temperature shifts between day and night, signaling seasonal change. The plant reads these as one message. Conditions are shifting, reproduce now. It's a survival strategy honed over millions of years in West African ecosystems, where blooming happens at the exact transition between dry and rainy seasons, when offspring have the best chance of survival. It's not random. It's precision timing. And here's what blows my mind. When your snake plant blooms in a New York apartment, a San Diego bungalow, or a Texas ranch house, you've unknowingly recreated those exact seasonal shifts from thousands of miles away, just through the rhythm of how you care for it. Dr. Leonard Perry at the University of Vermont tracked snake plant blooms across hundreds of American homes over 5 years. His finding? The owners whose plants bloomed weren't following any special protocol. They were simply people whose natural care rhythms, watering less in dry winter air, shifting plants toward more light in summer, letting roots fill their pots, happened to align with the plant's ancient evolutionary triggers. Now here's a connection almost nobody makes. Snake plant is one of NASA's top air-purifying plants. Research from NASA's Stennis Space Center found it removes toxins like formaldehyde, benzene, and xylene from indoor air, and it's one of the few plants that release oxygen at night through CM photosynthesis. That purification work takes energy, real, measurable energy. But when your air quality stabilizes, when toxin levels finally drop, that surplus energy gets redirected. toward reproduction, toward flowering. Science is telling us the plant blooms when its environment turns genuinely healthy enough to support new life. And ancient tradition says the exact same thing, just in the language of energy, harmony, and fortune. Two paths, one truth. Now, let's get you there. Because knowing why it blooms is one thing. Making yours bloom is what you actually came for. So let's break it down. Light first. Bright, indirect light for at least 6 hours daily, never harsh direct sun. A sheer curtain window, ideally east or south facing, works beautifully. Vary the light slightly with the seasons, more in spring and summer, less in winter, and you're mimicking nature's own rhythm. Watering, the single most common mistake. Snake plants despise overwatering. Let soil dry completely between waterings, every 2 to 3 weeks in summer, once a month or less in winter. Check with your finger. If there's any moisture, wait. Restraint is the care this plant actually wants. The pot matters too. Don't rush to size up. Snake plants bloom best when roots feel slightly snug. Once you spot roots peeking through the drainage holes, that's your sweet spot season. Temperature. Aim for 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, but a slight nighttime dip to around 60 degrees Fahrenheit in fall or early winter can be exactly the stimulus your plant is waiting for. Warmer climates can move plants outdoors in fall. Colder climates can rely on a cool windowsill. Soil and feeding. A well-draining mix of potting soil, perlite, and coarse sand, fed with a half-strength balanced fertilizer monthly, spring, and summer only. Let it rest completely through fall and winter. That dormancy is when it quietly gathers the energy for what might come next. And the final ingredient nobody talks about, patience. This can take months to unfold. But when that stalk finally rises and those flowers open under moonlight, filling your room with fragrance, you'll understand exactly why so many cultures across the world consider this moment sacred. So here's the piece that ties it all together. Ancient tradition says it blooms when your home carries good energy and genuine harmony. Feng Shui says it blooms when energy flow is cleared and balanced. Science says it blooms when the plant is mature, well cared for, and gently, purposefully challenged. Same conclusion, 3 different languages. A home with good energy is simply a home where someone pays attention, where light, water, and care are given with intention. That is harmony, spiritually and scientifically. Your snake plant doesn't bloom randomly. It responds directly to the space you've built. If yours ever blooms, it means you're doing something remarkable. Whether you measure it in qi or in chemistry, the result is identical. Your space is thriving, and that flower is the proof. One last thing before you go. The bloom lasts only a few days. Fleeting. Delicate. But the fact that it happens at all, that a plant famous for surviving neglect chooses one single moment to pour everything into something beautiful, tells us something important. Even under the hardest conditions, when everything finally aligns, life still finds a way to bloom. In a world that never slows down, a plant blooming quietly in the dark reminds us that good things take time, but they do arrive. Science, tradition, and feng shui all agree on one thing. It blooms when the environment is right, and you're the one who created it. Has your snake plant ever bloomed? Tell me below. I want to hear your story. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, right here on Daily Sprout Gardeners. Take care of your plants.